All right. We've got.
All right, so welcome. This one is for 3rd through 5th grade teachers and administrators. For Christine, she's giving another Civic Action Project, kind of how they can allow students to create projects on different issues that they care about, their school and for their community. And this also aligns with the new Nevada Academic Content Standards for Social Studies. This is going to run from 12:45 to 1:40. And good news, because this is session 4, we also have another raffle that they'll let me know, and I'll tell you at the end. I'm not picking the raffle. Someone is coming into our meeting and picking, and this is for Civic Action books. So go ahead, Christine, take it away. Right. You have all the time.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to see you here. Hopefully you had a nice lunch. And so we are going to look at civic action in our state, country, and world, which is our 3 to 5 social studies standards. So I've imported my presentation into this program called Mentimeter. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but that's what it looks like to me. So we're going to play with it and see if I can figure out why it's not going to them. Oh, there we go. Okay. So if you hold up your phone to that QR code and open your camera, it should give you a way to open, whether you have an Android or an iPhone, it should give you a way to open the browser. If not, you can go to this website and type this in. And there's also a code on the next slide that I can show you. But what we're going to start with is I'm going to ask you to think about what skills and dispositions do you want your students to leave your classroom with. So I'll give you just a second to get to the page. I don't know why it doesn't let me see the chat. So Emily, if there's anything that I need to know in the chat.
We just got a message from Sasha that it works.
Oh, good. Okay, so here we go. All right. So you can also go to this site right here, menti.com, and just type in that actual code if you weren't able to get to it with the QR code. Okay, so just for a little information, skills are the ability to do something well, and dispositions are a person's inherent qualities of mind and character. So if you think about the abilities and the qualities that you want your students to have when they leave your classroom, what would those be? And there's a bunch of spots for words or phrases. You do not have to fill them all in, but I just gave you a whole bunch of spots. So feel free to let us know. And while you're filling that out, I'm just going to give you a little background on this site. So it's called Mentimeter, and they do have free education accounts. You can have up to 2 slides in the free accounts, and then there is a charge for more than 2 slides. But if you did this as a warm-up or an exit or a quick check-in with your students, it's a really fun way and there's a bunch of different things. There's a stoplight. We're going to try a couple of different ones, but this is a word cloud. So you will see some words get bigger if they've been entered more than once. So a lot of you probably used Wordle, and you have to start with a bunch of text and then you have to transfer it to Wordle. This does it all in one place for you. So it's kind of a fun way to have the students do a brainstorm or some sort of exit pass too. All right, so we've got critical thinking, collaboration, questioning, problem solving, being on grade level. That's really important. I love that. Trying hard, being a leader, helping others, perseverance, being self-motivated, being an individual thinker. These are great. Okay, we'll just give it about 1 more minute. I know it's a little bit of a process to get onto the site to begin with. Okay, so you can see kind is now starting to stand out because more than one person has put it in. And so it's going to get bigger. So that's kind of the neat thing about this, is that kids can see some similarities between themselves and others if you do a word cloud like this. But no matter what, they all see their words up there. And I think that's really cool. All right, we'll just give it one more minute. Oh, there we go. I knew we'd have another one. All right, these are great. I love these. And what a world we would have if everybody had these things, right? If everybody left our classrooms at the end of 12th grade, if we really all did this from kindergarten to 12th grade, and we encouraged perseverance and critical thinking and being kind and helping others. I mean, wow, our world could be a really great place. It's already a good place, but it could be a great place, right? Okay. All right, so today we're going to do some introductions in just a minute. We're going to talk more about what civic action projects are and what does that mean, and does that mean you have to take on something huge and giant in your class? We're going to look really quickly at what the 3-5 lessons that the Nevada Department of Education will be publishing very soon. And they are really just examples of lessons. They're a very high level kind of lesson outline, but you can make it your own. And then we're going to do a little teacher's action project. And then hopefully we'll have enough time to share out some information and make sure that you have enough time to fill out your little survey. So we'll probably be powering through. I'm an over planner, just so you all know. Okay, a little bit about me. I wear a lot of hats. This is my family. I have 3 kids, one in high school, one in middle school, one in elementary school. I've been a teacher for 20 years. I have taught in 3 districts in Nevada, and they are all very different districts. And I love our state. I'm a native, and the state means a lot to me. So when I'm not teaching and not running my kids around to volleyball and hockey and all of the things, I love to do DIY projects in our home, as well as garden in our backyard. And I live in the northern part of the state. Okay, so now I want to know about you. I'd love to know, where in Nevada are you from? What grade do you teach? And what is your favorite place to travel? Or if you haven't ever been there, where do you want to go? So what is your dream destination or your favorite place you've traveled? And Emily's going to have to help me, because for some reason when I share screen, I can't see the chat. I see you're all chatting, but I can't see it. I don't know why. I've never had Zoom do this to me, but oh well. That's what we have Emily for.
Hi, I could start. My name is Aggie, and I live in Las Vegas, and I teach 5th grade. My favorite place to travel, like in the world, or?
Sure, or a place you'd love to go to. Yeah.
My favorite place to travel is the island of Palau.
Okay.
In the Micronesia, in Micronesia.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's amazing. I would love to go there.
Oh, yes.
Okay, Christine, we have Larry, teaches GATE, 3rd through 5th. His favorite place to travel is a warm beach. I'm with you, Larry.
Yeah.
Brittany's always lived in rural areas. She's in Overton, teaches 3rd grade in Vegas though, but she'd like to take a train trip across Europe. We have Sasha, Southern Nevada, Las Vegas native, 5th grade teacher who likes to travel to all states. That's her hope, to travel to them at least once. Layla, let's see, Layla currently in Vegas. Not sure how much longer, I understand. Currently in kinder, likely to move up next year. And her favorite place is National Park. She wants to go to Alaska someday.
That's on my list too, Layla.
And that's so far all the chat we have for me to read. Oh, I'm sorry. Carrie lives in Vegas from Ohio, so that's her favorite place to travel in 4th grade.
To head back to home. I like that. Oh, I see that. That's her picture. Ohio welcomes you on her Zoom. That's great. Hi, Dave. All right, here we go. So let's talk a little bit about this. I feel like, Dave, you keep popping in right when I'm talking about the exact same thing.
Christine, I'm that little elf that runs around to all the rooms to pick the
raffle winners. Oh, he's picking the raffle. So
they
everybody
know
look
when I
pretty.
show up,
Everybody like, you know, be yourself. Put your good vibes out for some raffle. Okay. All right. Thanks for popping in, Dave. We appreciate you. All right. So this is one of the kind of newer pieces of our standards. It looks a little different in our new standards. So in 2018, when we passed we rolled out the new Nevada academic content standards for social studies, there was a new section for every grade level, and it was called the disciplinary skills. And they are the same for K through 12. Students should be learning these things. This is the foundation. I often like to say these are the wheels of the car, of the bus, whatever vehicle. These are the wheels. Every car on the road has the same wheel, right? We have to have a round wheel in order to go. We can't do square, we can't do triangle, right? So everybody has to learn these things in order for their car to go. The car could be blue, the car could be red, it could be a giant SUV, it can be a bus, or it could be a mini, but it still has to have the wheels. So the disciplinary skills are something that students should be learning in every grade level, and they should be really the foundation of starting your lesson plans. You should always be thinking, how am I implementing questioning, sourcing, developing claims, using evidence, communication, and how am I encouraging my students to take their own actions? How am I encouraging them to be, more active learners? That's really what that's all about. If you have more questions on that, I'm going to share my email at the end, and I'm so happy to talk to you more about that. Or if you have like department members that really don't understand it, I'd be super happy to talk more about it. But I'm really, really, really passionate about disciplinary skills. So if you ever need help with that, I'm super happy to help. Okay. And I just wanted to give you a bit of background. They came from the C3 framework inquiry arc, but we made them our own. We really looked at this and said we need to give more context to it. This isn't enough, but this is the basis of where it came from. So if you want more information, if you search C3 inquiry arc, there's lots of great articles out there to kind of show you where this started. Okay, so what is a civic action project? And does this mean that you're entering some huge, overwhelming thing? No. It does not, I promise. Okay, so a civic action project, as defined by the Constitutional Rights Foundation, is simply a project in which students focus on issues they care about in their school or community. They make connections from their actions to policy. And when we're in an elementary school, anywhere from K to 5, we're really looking more at like local community. We're not asking you to call Congress and like change what they're doing in Washington, D.C., right? Even in the 5th grade, when national standards are you're really looking at the Constitution, we're not saying like, go call, one of our senators and ask them to propose a constitutional amendment. I mean, if you do that, great, like more power to you, but that's really not what the standards are saying, that you have to do that in some big, huge way. Okay. Another thing that I think is really important to note, that a civic action project should absolutely be an SEL lesson. And so I think that this is really helpful for you as the teacher when you're having those conversations potentially with your administrator and they're wanting to make sure that you're doing SEL. You can show them that my students are doing these things. They're making decisions. They're managing themselves because they're making the choices. They're building relationships because they're doing group work. These go hand in hand with the disciplinary skills. And so it doesn't have to be separate. Right. I do feel like it's the binder syndrome of being in schools. We have all the like, here, you're going to do this and you're going to do this. But I think finding bridges between all of those things is really, really important. And so I just want to give you a moment to know that this work is SEL work, and it absolutely goes together. So it's not an additional thing on top of what you're already doing. And I hope that just gives you a little sigh of relief today, because you all are working really, really hard and you deserve a break. Okay. Couple of examples of really simple civic action projects. Getting informed about a public issue or a problem, thinking critically, developing a position, engaging in a dialogue, working together towards a common goal, making a presentation. These are all things that kids can do in order to present their civic action project. Again, it does not need to be huge and world changing, because it's more about their small world that they're in. Okay. All right. And one of the big things is that the last of the disciplinary skills in every grade level says taking informed action. So I've gotten a lot of questions about how these are different. And so really a civic action project is taking all of those disciplinary skills, utilizing them to do this work. So informed action is part of it, because you can't take the action without being informed, by asking questions, by using sources, by analyzing, so right, like they all go together. I hope that makes sense. I feel like I've blathered on that point for a while. Okay, really very, very quickly, I just wanted to show you all the K-2 theme is really focused on friendship, courage, honesty, respect, and responsibility in the school community. So K-2 is super focused in on the school community. And so when we build up to 3 to 5, we're going to kind of take those themes of how do people show courage? How do they show respect? How do they show responsibility at a state, national, and world level, right? So they're going to be learning those things, hopefully in their K-2 classrooms, about the concepts that we want to see at the bigger level. Okay, so what does this look like in 3 to 5? Well, we know in 3rd grade, we focus on movement around the world. So I bet a lot of you have some really great lessons. My daughter's in 3rd grade, and they're doing some great things about cultures and civilizations and countries around the world. And I'm just impressed. They know where places are in the world that I don't think I knew when I was in 3rd grade. So if you are a 3rd grade teacher, you're amazing. Thank you, because 8 and 9-year-olds, they're a lot. Let's be real. Okay, in 4th grade, we get to talk about my favorite state. Home means Nevada, and it's so fun. There's so many amazing things. And if you're not from here, thank you for being here and teaching our students about our state. It's an incredible state for a lot of reasons, and it's really, really important that we are teaching about Nevada's past and present, because we are a pretty cool state. And so then in 5th grade, we start looking at creating a new nation. What is the United States? How did we become what we are, right? Okay. So some deeper examples of what kind of lesson overviews you will see in this document when it comes out, hopefully here in the next couple of weeks. So in 3rd grade, a cultural fair opportunity for students could be created. And again, the students drive this work, right? So you can kind of bring the idea to the table, but then the students drive the work. And it's an opportunity to showcase the contributions and positive impacts of culturally, racially, and ethnically diverse people throughout the world. That comes straight from the standards. Another big thing in the 3rd grade standards is about migration and understanding migration. And you know what? It's really hard sometimes to talk about those super, super sensitive migration issues, right? So currently, a lot of Ukrainians have been forced to migrate out of Ukraine, right? How do we talk about that with 3rd graders? This is a way that you can talk about other examples of migration, of forced and optional and all of the different types of migration, and create potentially a school-wide donation drive to send items in need for those migrants. And when I taught in Las Vegas, it had Hurricane Katrina had just happened. And then there was another hurricane right after in Houston, and a bunch of the people that were in New Orleans got relocated to Houston. And then there was a hurricane in Houston. And they all happened to work for Caesars at the time. Their families did. And so then they all got relocated to Las Vegas, and they had nothing because they had been moved twice. And so this idea actually came literally from my students when I was teaching in Las Vegas, because they said, wait a minute, we're about to get this huge influx of people who literally have nothing and have now been through 2 hurricanes, right? So this could be an opportunity to do that. You could also do it for just any group in your community that might need something. Maybe somebody had a house fire, maybe anything like that. But it's a great opportunity for kids to get involved and see how they impact the bigger world, right? Okay, and then in 4th grade, there's 3 ideas in 4th grade. I love Nevada. There's a lot of ideas. Okay, so as a class, find a solution for a local problem. Maybe adding additional trash receptacles on a local walking path, or creating a community garden. My son's class did this exact project, and they asked the city council, they wrote letters and asked for water troughs for the wild horses that live behind our house. We live in the South Reno area, and we have wild horses in the mountains right behind our house. And there's going to be some homes built there. And the students were very worried. Well, what about the horses? How are they going to get to the water source that they normally get to? Because now there'll be homes there. And so they asked for water troughs to be brought in. And the city council actually agreed. It's part of the developer's plan that they have to provide access to water for the horses. So these are things that kids can absolutely do. And it's something that they cared about, right? You can create a Cultures of Nevada bulletin board in your school that celebrates the unique diversity of Nevada. Fun fact, we are a majority minority state, which means we have people from around the world and Native cultures here in our state. We have so many cultures in our state, and how cool would that be to celebrate them? And to go even further, you could have students interview people of different ethnicities and cultures. And there's so many ideas that these have. And then another idea would be to create a book of people's own family Nevada stories. So I know Carrie had mentioned she's from Ohio. So what brought her to Nevada, and what's her Nevada story, versus maybe me, who has a different Nevada story because I've been here my whole life, right? So these are fun ways for kids to get involved in not only the state, but their own community. Okay, in 5th grade, we're starting to get into our democratic processes, right? So maybe have them, after they learn a little bit more about the Constitution and about the Constitutional Convention, they could think about a local law that they would like to change. Maybe that impacts students their own age. Maybe speak to local leaders to develop a plan and present to the appropriate group. I mean, this is big. You don't have to go that far, but I mean, that would be a great extension activity. And then another idea would be to research and propose an opportunity to honor a person, right? So in the national capital, each state gets 2 huge statues, and they honor a person who, has contributed in some way to the advancement of the nation. So what could be another Nevadan that could have a potential statue in either the local city hall, or even all the way up to Washington, D.C. So those are kind of some of the ideas for this. So Emily, we're gonna have another chat situation. So sorry about that. Thanks for sharing. Okay, so time to get thinking here, because I've been chatting a lot. So I'm sorry. That's the hard part about Zoom, is we don't get to do as much interactive stuff. So how do you currently engage in your community? And what is a cultural tradition from your family that is really important to celebrate? Because these are really the 2 themes that kind of run through grades 3 through 5, is how do we engage, and how do we, the people who have made those advancements, who have taken the courage to make an impact on our nation and our world and our state. And then also, what are those cultural traditions? And really those go together as well. And you're welcome to unmute and share too. You do not need to stay muted. I would love to hear your voice.
Well, I'll unmute then and give it a go.
Awesome. Thanks.
Just ignore the dishwasher in the background.
I can't even hear it. You're fine.
So engaging in the community, we do a variety of different service projects. On Friday, we just finished dropping off boxes of food for Thanksgiving food drive that we had done. So having that, be something that my class groups participate in is one thing.
That's great.
Cultural traditions, my own family, probably fried food around Hanukkah. It's kind of a big, we just fry whatever we can find,
Mhm.
whatever we can find, and try out something different every year.
I love that. That's great. We're coming up on, is Hanukkah early this year? I felt like last year it was like right on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's now reset back, so it
Reset.
pretty much overlaps. It's yeah,
Okay.
end of November, end of
It was
December this year.
really, really early last year. Yeah, I remember it being super
Yep.
early last year. That's great. I love that. Anybody else want to share?
We have some in the chat.
Great.
Brittany says we made a big deal of Dia de Muertos this year and decorate our 4 little altars from the kids instead of Halloween decorating.
Great.
Cute. Layla, I vote. I think that's all. My family enjoys celebrating Thanksgiving, Christmas, but nothing special. But it's great you vote. They were saying such a low turnout. Every year it feels like less and less people vote. So that's really important.
Yes.
Brittany also said we're planning a loteria night instead of bingo. I would
Nice.
definitely like to know about that. Sasha says I coach girls on the run. We love getting our girls who need a little confidence boost, some SEL lessons, empowerment. This also helps the families. We join up with different teams from all over CCSD. Join in a 5K. At the end, we choose a community project to do as a team. Brandy Everett says voting, food drives at school, service projects at church. Her class does service around school when you see something. Let's see, Harry, I hope I said that right. She votes, her family celebrates Easter with dinner and bunny egg hunt, Christmas piñata, yummy Thanksgiving dinner.
Great. Did we get them all?
I think so. I'm scrolling through. It looks like I got them.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. I love that so many of you vote. It's really important. We did have a little bit of lower voter turnout this year. It's normal in midterms, but it was a little lower than the last midterm, which is unfortunate because as you all saw, it was a pretty big and important election. We also have a student mock election through the Secretary of State's office. So in the future, I hope you will sign up. For our younger kiddos, we don't do the candidates on the ballot for the younger kiddos. They do other things. They do like questions about their like this state animals and other questions about that are age appropriate so that you don't have to get into the politics in your classroom. And I worked with NDE and we did write some great lessons, and we have an awesome lesson on school mascots and create and voting on a mascot that we did. And so if you have a school where getting into the actual candidates is kind of a thing, that is a great way to show them the importance of voting. I actually got to teach that lesson in my daughter's 3rd grade class, and the kids, it was almost a tie. The winner of the mascot by the animal won by 1. And so it was this really great moment to say, hey, what would happen if this person hadn't voted? Like if they abstained from voting? And the kids were like, well, then there'd be a 3-way tie. How does that work? And it was this great on-demand moment of that teaching opportunity to kind of say how important every person's voice is, and that it is still an option. You don't have to go vote, but look how important it is because it can literally change the outcome. And without getting into the politics of it all, which I think with, basically any, maybe up until like 5th grade, you might want to start talking about candidates and stuff because we're looking at the actual Constitution, but up until then, I'm sure you all agree with me that it is not worth it to get into the politics of it all. All right. Let's take some action. All right. So I'm going to have you guys do this, your own action here. We're going to kind of walk through the process. So if you still hopefully have the Mentimeter open, if not on the next slide, you'll be able to see it. So what is a problem in education that you think needs a creative solution? We're going to propose some changes today. It's about to be the legislative session. We've got lots of new school board members around the state, got lots of opportunities. Yes, teacher pay. Maybe some, like minimum guidelines somewhere, health insurance, sub shortages. Oh, I feel for you all, because I know when there's a missing sub in your grade level, all that means is you get more kids in your class that day. When I taught secondary, we would cover, our preps would be, but you don't get preps in elementary, right? So you just get more kids each day, which does not make your job any easier. So allowing a longer lunch session and recess times. Yeah, so play, right? We want kids to play. Give them more time to play. We have so much that we have to teach now, right? We have so much to get through. And that's why I do love this kind of work, because I do think it's multidisciplinary and you can really look at getting a lot of those, like, I hate to say checking off standards, because I don't really believe in checking off standards, but kind of checking off all the things on the list, right? Okay. Any other thoughts? Do we have anybody else coming in? Did we have one in the chat? Maybe somebody couldn't get in. I wasn't sure. I don't know why I can't see the chat. It's bugging me.
There is nothing updated for this question in the.
Okay. All right. So we're going to do a little vote. So we're going to pick one of these topics. Actually, no, we're not going to pick it yet. Sorry. Hang tight. Keep these in mind. So we've got like health insurance pay. That can be one topic. Sub shortages, and really just teacher shortages, right? Being able to hire enough staff. It's not even, it's just staffing shortages. I know we had a huge bus driver issue up here. Being able to hire our, all the people that staff a school building, right? And then longer like recess and lunch times for students. Okay, so those are some things to think about. Okay, so next question. What level of government is responsible for these solutions? So the one that you are kind of leaning towards, which level of government would be most responsible for pay, staff shortages, so like benefits and pay for teachers, staff shortages, and then student scheduling? So like recess, lunchtime, all that stuff. Who would be most responsible for that? Okay, so we're mostly looking at the school board, it looks like. Oh, yep, another vote for the school board. Okay. All right, school board. So we're mostly looking at the school board. Okay. All right. Is there a current policy that might already deal with this that could be modified? Is there a policy that you know of that could be modified for the one that you're thinking of? Yeah, so I mean, I am seeing, a lot of don't knows, and I think that that's the hardest part about these things, right? It's when you want to make change, you don't know where to start. And so for salary structures, that's actually 2 places that we would have to deal with, right? And in fact, for most of our schools, because a lot of us get Title I funding, our state overall has a lot of federal funding. There's actually all 3 of those places to go to, right? So the US Department of Education provides federal title funding. We've got salaries very dependent on per pupil spending, which is a state level decision. And then the actual budget is decided by our school boards, right? Oh, yes, I have heard about this, that some people got pay raises and others didn't because they qualified under certain things. And that's tough. And so those decisions were made by the school board, but really ultimately it's also decided by per pupil pay, right? That makes it tough. I need to move this for, oh, so union was not on one of those lists. So you are right. A teachers association is definitely a place to go to help with policy potentially. And really they can't actually make policy, but they can help negotiate policy, right? Okay, so that policy of the PE, I'm looking at the PE one right now. That one is definitely a school and a school district level position, or a policy. So that would be very dependent on that. And then licensing issues. Yeah. So I actually was in touch with the like department head director over licensing, and they are so buried because they're also short staffed, right? So how do you so the Nevada legislature doesn't fund NDE well enough to have them fully staffed to be doing this work, right? So there's more than one involved. That's the answer. There's more than one agency involved. Okay. I'm gonna ask some of you to unmute here and help me. So let's make a vote. Which one are we going to kind of walk through this process? What's the one that's most on your heart? You can either type it in the chat or you can unmute. I'd love it if you unmuted. You don't have to turn your camera on. It's okay. You can just unmute. But which one's most on your heart? We're going to do a little vote, little democratic process here. So we had school, class schedules and providing more free time for students, more play time, because we know kids learn through play. We have staffing issues, and then we have staff compensation.
We have one vote in the chat for
staffing
recess.
issues. I vote staffing issues.
Staffing issues. Okay. And what was the vote in the chat?
Recess.
Recess. Okay.
And another vote for staffing issues in the chat.
Okay. Any other votes? Remember, if you don't show up to the polls, your voice isn't heard.
3 staffing in the chat.
Okay. That's the one that's winning. Anybody else?
4 staffing.
All right, let's go with staffing issues. Okay. So the problem is, let's walk through this. So this is a process you can do to help your students decide about something that they'd want to do for their school community or the community at large based on those standards, right? Help them pick a topic, because this is really about student choice and voice. So what is the problem? The problem is that we have staffing issues. We cannot fill all of our open positions, which means then everyone who's in the buildings are overworked, right? Because then that means we're covering classes, or we don't have a registrar, we don't have a front desk person, we don't have enough custodians, etc. Right? Okay. This is something to ask students, because they may care about something, but is there an outcry? Is there really a call for change? Is this something that other people care about? And this is a process to help them kind of whittle down those big ideas they have. Like maybe it might be an issue to them that there's not enough basketballs to go around at recess. But maybe that's not as big of an issue as there's not enough seats in the cafeteria for everybody to sit down and eat, right? And so this is a way for them to kind of balance out that. I think we know there's an outcry for this one, so we can just move on from that one. All right, so what government players are involved in these staffing shortages? There's a lot, right? We've got school boards, we've got the state. So not just the legislature, but the Department of Ed, because like you said, there's licensing issues. But then there's also potentially a funding formula that is out of date, and maybe they've been working on it, and maybe they need more work, right? Is there federal involvement in staffing issues as well? I mean, if you're at a title school, potentially, right? But most likely the money's there because the position's there, right? So this is really a state and local issue. Okay. I mean, it's a national issue because we're having that issue everywhere, but for this purpose, we're looking at, okay. All right. What are your ideas? How can we fix this?
You really want to hear my ideas?
I do. Yes, I do. Absolutely.
So we'd start with an easier path for reciprocity.
Okay.
We can enlarge our J1 program. We are limited to, I think it's 150 teachers, and they're limited to 5 years. And I think that we could look at doing some modifications there.
What was the program that you just said? Sorry.
The J1 visa program, where we bring in teachers who, licensed teachers from out of the country. Typically, we've got a lot of them here from the Philippines that are working in our SPED departments, SPED classrooms. But we were limited to 150 across the district. We had, and then they did a shift with that, and then they have to leave after 5 years.
Okay.
But expanding that program would be in a way to get more bodies in the building. Obviously, from looking at it from a salary perspective, our support staff need to be paid more than target employees are.
Okay.
You know, we pay $11, $12 an hour. Well, now it's going to be at least $12 an hour. But,
Okay.
you know, still less than the 15 that they get from target. We need to look at the hiring practices so that when we actually hire someone, they can actually start, as opposed to saying, we hire you for the job. Now you have to go to licensing. Now you've got to go through, you know, fingerprinting, all of those things. And maybe you can start working in 6 to 8 weeks, because then that's 2 months of them looking for other jobs that they can actually get paid for.
Yeah. Okay.
We can improve the pipeline of going from our support staff to our licensed. I know they talked a little bit about that, but we can expand that pipeline. It's still fairly limited. We can start paying teachers who are student teaching. Because right now, again, we're expecting them to pay and work for essentially nothing, and it creates a challenge for them to be able to afford that piece of their education.
Larry, you've thought about this.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Miss, and pretty much every issue that has triggered one of those is something that I've had at my schools.
Okay. All right. What do you guys think? Anybody else?
There's a few in the chat. It
Okay.
says there needs to be more on-site mentoring of new teachers, so they're not just left to fend for themselves.
Okay.
Pay more,
Oh,
more support, incentives.
Pay everyone more incentives. Okay.
And people are agreeing with those.
And lots of agreement. Okay. All right. Who can we call? This is like, who you gonna call? I feel like I need to play Ghostbusters music. My family would really appreciate that. My husband's a big fan. All right. So who would you call to make this happen, to make these changes happen? Who could support you in this process? This is an opportunity. Yeah, this is an opportunity to teach students that elected officials are in fact elected for us and should be taking our calls, right? They should be responding to us. I mean, granted, like our state senators are not gonna like respond to every single person, but they have staff to do that for sure, right? But this is a local issue. So I know in the earlier conversation, somebody mentioned the union. And so our associations around the state, we have a Nevada State Education Association, and we do have local, and whether or not you're part of it doesn't mean that you can't call your association president and just say, hey, I'm curious what's being done about this and how can I get involved, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay. You can call your local legislators, you can call your school board members. There's lots of things you can do. Okay, so let me take this off of text here. I don't know if it's gonna let me. I want to stop the text. Thank you. There we go. It kept trying to make me add text. Okay. All right, and last, what else? This is another thing to think about. What else would you need to do in order to make this a yes, in order to make this happen? And so this is a process that you can take kids through. And I like the fact that the acronym is policy, because it teaches them about every rule is a policy. And, there's a process in which to do that. And this uses those skills of our disciplinary skills. It also uses a lot of SEL because it's encouraging collaboration. It's encouraging students to keep persevering through a struggle, which those are all things that were mentioned at the beginning of skills and dispositions that you want students to have before they leave your classroom. So I will share this acronym as a kind of like a chart, and it'll be in a Word doc. So then you can make it your own if you ever want to walk your students through this process of making a change, becoming a change maker. All right, I think we're a little early. I powered through that. So everything, oh, look, this is still sitting here. Can you guys still see that writing that's sitting there? Sorry, I don't know how to get rid of it now. But anyway, so I will have everything on my website, which is nvcce.org, because I work for the Nevada Center for Civic Engagement. And the actual published K-5 document for the Civic Action Projects will be published on the NDE website within the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, there's a process of getting everything through. So we'll get there. And so you can always contact Janie. Oh, so you can see that. Okay. So here's our website. Now you can't see it because it's over the thing, but there's a presentation materials page. You know what, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to show you guys where to find it, because that's what is going to be easier. And then here's my email address. Please feel free to email me with any questions you have, especially once it comes out. And I'm going to put the email address in the chat so you could just copy and paste it. That will be easier. And now I can see the chat. You guys won't mind if I let you go just a minute early to get a bathroom break, right?
Okay, hold on. I do have some.
No, not yet though. I know. Don't go yet, because you have to do your evaluation part. Yeah.
Okay. So while she's getting that in there, again, I've given you the session survey and the attendance for session 4. You need to do both. We do have another raffle winner. That's why Dave keeps popping in and out. He is randomly picking. It is not me. And then he sends me the name. So Mr. Larry Epstein, you are the winner. So you will be getting an email about some civic books that you won for the raffle. So as long as you do your attendance and your session survey, Christine and I will be here for a few more minutes, because Kristen, I think you and I are here the rest of the next sessions together. So.
We're here the rest of the day. So, I mean, you're welcome to join us to talk more about History Day and We the People. If any of you are 4th and 5th grade teachers, those are great programs for 4th and 5th grade. So I would love that. And feel free to reach out to me with questions. I powered through that, you guys. So
no, you're fine. I think you were used to the schedule before where you only had 40 minutes.
I think so. I think in my mind, I was like, I gotta power through this. So if anybody wants to unmute or chat and tell me what you're already doing or questions you have, now is the time. We have a few minutes.
Okay, you're good. So the next session is actually starting at 1:45. So I'm going to turn my camera off and be back in just a minute. And
Okay.
when you're done, you
Perfect.
can stay and ask Christine questions, or you have a few minutes before your next class.
Do you want me to stop the recording?
Oh, goodness. Thank you.